Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with husband, father, speaker, and author Jack Harnedy. He is a former Division I long snapper at Northwestern University. His story involves being part of one of the best college football programs, and since college, being a part of numerous high-performing teams. He currently leads revenue growth management at Hostess Brands, coming from Colgate-Palmolive. His desire is to share his experience and stories to help others. Enjoy this interview.
Hey, thanks for taking a minute out for the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So before we get into your very interesting life now and as an athlete, I want to begin with kind of the global elephant in the room with COVID the last 3 years. And I'm curious how you survived that time period and how it subsequently has changed the way that you live your life and conduct business now that the world's kind of opening up and getting into a kind of a post-pandemic phase.
Absolutely. It is. It turned the world upside down, right? Obviously, as we all know, and living in the Chicago area, I think it was scary at first and really just trying to evolve. And I think it really helped understand and shape what was the most important elements of our lives, and one being family and making sure that we're bonding together as a group and as a small unit of four people. And I think what it did was, for me, it made me prioritize and helped me prioritize what was the most important things in my life, and really put a whole different perspective on what I was trying to do, what I wanted to do, and really find out, how am I impacting, these two small kids, 8 and 5-year-old kids, to get better, and am I setting the right example for what I want them to be as they grow up? So, to start with, it was scary. It was interesting, being at home, trying to figure out how are we going to manage the time as, me with work and my wife with work and my kids with school, and trying to be remote as kindergartners and preschoolers. Really an interesting time, but we evolved, and we had fun. As challenging as it was, we figured out that lunchtime was our time to incorporate some fun and laughter with dancing and having a good time. It's kind of a break in the middle of the day. But I think as we looked at, and as you started to evolve, you started to understand that maybe I can utilize the technology that we've come to realize is, Zoom and some of the different technology that's out there. We're able to use that more than having to get on an airplane and go somewhere for a 30-minute meeting, right? So prior to the pandemic, I was traveling 5 days a week, quite a bit, and it was a challenge on the family life. And I think the pandemic, as I look back over the 3 years, it really helped put in perspective, hey, family is important. Your work is extremely important as well, and you got to figure out a better balance. And you've got to figure out how to use Zoom, all the technology you have in front of you, to really make sure you're building connections, as well as, once everything started to come back, utilize a good balance between traveling and being at home. So I think that was a big part of it. It was I think it helped me prioritize and reprioritize what I was doing. And really focus in on the core of what is me, and that's my family and faith, and then obviously the experiences and trying to help motivate and build teams with some of the professional work I do.
So let's get into exactly what you do these days, and I want to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the kids looks up at you and says, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is I'm a leader of a team, right? And so we have a team of people that help develop pricing for cupcakes at Hostess Brands. I have a team that helps develop what the price is going to be for Twinkies, and all the major suppliers and vendors and all the customers that we have. We're in charge of building the price for Twinkies. But more importantly, I'm leading the team and keeping the team engaged and excited about what they do every day. That's the really big part of it is teamwork and making sure that we're working together and ultimately looking at why we're doing this and what the ultimate goal is for not only the team but also for Hostess Brands. On the side, and I think as important is started to go down the career path of being an author and writing a book about what it means to be on a team, what it means to be successful in life, building off the experiences I've had over the last all my life really, and building off of that. I've tell a story about how to live your life successfully based on what I've learned through all the influences I've had throughout my life. So I'd say I'm in charge of a team that leads pricing for Twinkies, and I'm an author on the side. But as important as I started with is I'm a father of and a husband for this family and the provider of this family, and I think that's a key thing that I do too.
So, you obviously were a long snapper, and I'm curious, when you were in the third grade yourself, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think I wanted to be, like every other kid, it's like, hey, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be, something like that, and I want to be in the Air Force. I want to fly planes, something wild and crazy, big dreams. I quickly was shot down on that dream because I was 6'7". I was a tall kid, and my dad would always say, like, hey, you're right at this point in time, you're as big as some of the pilots are in third grade, so you're probably not going to be a pilot or an astronaut. But you have some talent with your size that you can use. As he was a football coach, he said, here's an opportunity for you to, here's a ball. Let's snap. Let's go out and put the ball in your hands and snap the ball to me, and let's see if we can make this into something special. And being bigger and being a larger kid, it was an opportunity to really be a part of something bigger. Hey, sports, right? Soccer, whether it be soccer, baseball, football. I started to quickly realize that size was an advantage off, no question, but being on a team and relying on your teammates to be successful was a huge and important lesson in life that I'd take with me forever. And I think that was one of the biggest things was, you had a lot of different experiences on different teams, and those experiences were able to help really formulate what I wanted to do moving forward, and that was definitely to play Division I football, after and have the blessing to do that. But then after that it had to be about being a part of a team, whether it be I couldn't be an individual contributor, to working by myself. I need to be a part of something bigger, work with teammates and be on a team that was mutually trying to go after a goal. So I think that was a big part of it. It was like, okay, I can quickly hone in on what I like and certainly call it the sales side of things. Marketing was certainly one of the areas that I started to focus in on after my career days of playing football. Always had that goal of playing football in the pros and playing in the NFL, and had a couple shots, but unfortunately didn't work out because of my size of all things, which is really an interesting piece of it, but was able to hone in and really focus on great education and experiences to help get me to where I am today.
I always remember when I was in middle school, there was a guy that came in, and I can't remember if he was a former athlete or a scout, but he came in and he just walked in the room. We're all watching him, and he picks up a pen and he puts a dot and just a bunch of zeros and then like a 721. And he looks at everybody and says, "What is this? What does this mean to you?" And we're just like, "I don't know." And he was like, "That's the chance that you're going to have of being a professional athlete on this planet." And we were like, "Oh, wow." And then he went into this litany of, how many times you'll change careers. But I always remember that, where it was like, it's really hard to get there. Anyway, I always remember that. So, no, go ahead.
It is really hard to get there. And that was, I think, the vision for me was, hey, I had this unique skill. There are just there are a handful of folks that actually know how to do this long snapping and do it well, right? So it was like, okay, I have this skill, and at the time there was nobody better at long snapping. My problem was I was 325 pounds and 6'7", and every talent scout that came through, and every tryout I had, they said, "We love you as a long snapper, but you don't fit the profile. We need somebody that's 6'2", 200, and that can run down the field." I said, "Well, look at my film. I can run down the field. I tried throwing them like crazy on it, but it just wasn't meant to be. But that's okay. All the experiences, all the different challenges that you're put in front of you, you're able to respond to. And I think that's what this game is all about: is responding to how are you going to react to the situation that you're in. And I think that was a big part of learning. It was a dream that was quickly shot down after playing forever in a position in a sport. How do you quickly pivot and use what you learn to make to really build your career outside of football moving forward? And I think there's a couple of things that I write about is that if you think about the execution of the actual play is just a brief period of time, right? So over a 4-year period, I think I had, call it 200 punts that I long snapped for. And I played offensive line, put all that aside. But if you think about the amount of time that you practice, call it first grade all the way through college. But just thinking about the five years that I played college football, the average punt play is 10 seconds, right? It's 10 seconds long. And if you think about the amount of time that you're actually practicing for that, it's like 21 million seconds that you're actually practicing over a 5-year period. And it puts in perspective how much time you're playing for, like 33 minutes on the field for over a 5-year period, but you're practicing for, call it 3,300 minutes, right? It's like, so all that preparation it just tells you a story about how important prep is to everything that you do.
That's that's fascinating, that mathematical notion. So, all of these seeds that become who we are start in childhood. And you're obviously a very highly driven and very highly motivated individual. Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and how these seeds really got into you to grow into who you are today.
Yeah, without a doubt, your support system and your support around you, it's how you get influence, right? That's who you learn from. So you're watching every day. So your role models are crucial. And my father, mother, obviously instilled great values, and being able to watch and learn from them, it was amazing. They were fantastic people. My dad worked really hard, multiple jobs. He was a teacher. He continued to move up through the ranks of the Chicago Public Schools. He worked hard as a high school football coach, freshman high school football coach with his friends. He loved doing it. And watching his grit, the way that he was able to network and build relationships and friendships and be able to really talk to anybody and bring anybody into your life, no matter who it was, what color, anything. It was the diversity that we had around our house was just incredible. And I think that was a big part of it. And I think to amplify that, I had great grandparents, but my grandmother in particular, Betty, she worked at my high school. She was the principal's admin for 37 years. And to watch how she carried herself in an all-boys high school in the inner city of Chicago was truly amazing. So when I was there, she was there. She drove me to school every morning. She instilled punctuality because if we weren't out by 7:20 out there at the curb waiting for her, she would drive right by, and you had to find your own way to school, and that was not an easy task to do. So you didn't miss the car ride from Betty, and the conversations that I had with her, the way that I watched her during school, watch her be able to stand up to the folks of like Donovan McNabb, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles, Antoine Walker, some of these big name folks. Like, she didn't care who you were. She didn't care if you were somebody that was an all-star, or if you were somebody that was an all-star in school. Didn't care who you were. She treated you the same and treated you with respect. And to be able to learn from somebody like that was truly, I was truly fortunate on that. And I think it's not just the people, but it's the experiences. You have times when you're truly challenged, and one particular instance was my best friend in my best friend in high school, Kevin. We were practicing hot summer day, 1995. It was the hottest summer on record in Chicago, and during practice, he passed out of heat stroke. And long story short, had a liver transplant, a kidney transplant, and passed away on the first day of our very first game of our senior year. And to rally around Kevin's passing as a team, and to bring everybody together and to keep everybody together throughout that season as a captain was an experience that one was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, and will be the hardest thing I'll ever have to do, is going through a situation like that. But to rally a team around staying together and building, rallying for doing it for a bigger cause was such a learning experience. I look back now, just a long time ago, I look back now and really pinpoint that opportunity as being the hardest piece of the hardest thing to have to deal with, is your best friend passing away. But dealing with it and learning from it was something that I look back and say, I think because of that, I was able to build off of that so many different ways. And I think there's a saying that at the gym I go to every time I walk in, it says, think about why you started. And that why is going back to, because Kevin can't do it today. To this day, every single day I think about that. Kevin cannot do what you're doing because his life was cut short. So I think I look back at that and think, wow, there's some really big experiences and big things that happen throughout the life, that not only the people, but some of the experiences that have helped formulate who you are today.
So
everybody has their story too, and I think that's the important thing, is just stepping back and thinking about that. And the book, this Snap and Go book was able to do that for me, is really take a step back and say, okay, why am I like I am today? What caused me to be like I am, and really put that into words of, okay, wow, think about it. These experiences really help formulate who you are, and why you think the way you think, why you do the things you do, and how you lead the way you lead. So I think that's really powerful to be able to step back and think about that, and it's important to do.
So who's been a consistent hero or a role model for you in your life?
No doubt about it, my father. No doubt about it. So he's been somebody that you watch him as a coach. I watched him as a coach, watched him as a dad, watched him as now a grandpa, and he was my best man in my wedding, right? So the relationship with him and myself definitely has caused. Definitely I could say without a question, he's definitely a hero in my life that I've been able to learn from, and from an early on age, just was able to really focus in on making sure you're doing the best at everything that you do. Give it your all. No matter, you may not perform as best as you want to be, but you're going to at least give it as hard as every opportunity you can to really give it everything you got with that grit and that passion. There's no doubt about it. My father.
So if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend a little time with them, who would you love to meet?
It's somebody that I have met before, and somebody that got me through the pandemic in a big way is John Gordon. John Gordon's an author. He writes about the power of positive leadership, the energy bus, etc. I want to tell, and I had an opportunity to meet him pre-pandemic at one of his classes that he took. And I'd say this right back to him, that everything that he taught during that class, everything that he's been teaching in his books, really helped me define myself as a leader through the pandemic as I was working at Colgate, running a team of about 40 people all across the country. And I have to say thanks to him for being able to put into words what I was thinking, and help we on a weekly basis get his email, and I was able to say, okay, I like this. I like to bring this to the team and be able to bring a message of positivity in a really tough environment. And I think that was a turning point for me on how important positive leadership can influence and help drive results, and help keep a team together, even despite our either differences or our differences geographically. So, John Gordon, without a doubt, I'd love to say thank you to him personally on the word that he was able to continue to bring throughout that pandemic.
You know, the one thing that's great about life is that we accumulate this wisdom and knowledge based on being around for a long time. And if you had a dream tonight, ran into your 20-year-old version, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the roads you've been down, the troubles that you've overcome, the wisdom you've gained, what would you tell your young version?
I'd say enjoy the ride, right, and have fun. It can be very stressful. It can be it's very difficult, but try to continue to smile, continue to push. Don't stop. It'll always get better. If there's any challenges that you're facing, you're learning from them. It's all about how you respond to a situation. It's not about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. And I think I would continue to say respond, but do it having fun. Right? Always having fun. Always have that smile on your face. Laugh, be passionate about what you do, but enjoy the ride. It goes by so fast, and as cliche as that is, it does. Watching my kids grow up, it's like, wow, how time flies. It's just amazing how fast things can move. But I would say continue to don't look back and keep looking forward. I think that's really important. It's like learn from your experiences, learn from what you've accomplished, but don't dwell and move. Let's go, keep moving.
So, there's all these motivating forces that go into who we are, and I'm curious, every day you wake up and you go through your day, what motivates you? What gets you through, and how at the end of that day do you quantify a good day?
Yeah, I mean, it's important. I think that the alarm sounds, right, and you wake up, and I think it's important that for me it's a lot of fire drills that happen, and you can get pulled in 9 million different directions, and it's always what is your goal, what is that gold star that at the end of the day, right? You have to make sure you set a priority and you set the intention for the day. What do you need to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? And how is that going to make you, your family, and your teams better? And the visualization is key to that process, right? It's like you wake up and spend some time thinking and setting your intention. We want to get better physically, want to get better mentally, and know that there's going to be challenges that are going to pull you in many directions along the way, right? So I think it almost goes back to the preparation is so important that I think a lot of people forget that. You just kind of wake up and you're in the day and in the moment. Like that's when the chaos is going. You're already in the beginning of it. If you take a step back and think about that preparation for not for even taking the long snapping piece of it as an example, but you're spending a lot of time prepping for those key plays in the game, but you're spending all your time repetition and prepping and visualizing how it's going to actually play out. So if we have a big meeting or something like that, spend 5-10 minutes just taking deep breaths, being calm before you get out of bed, just calm, think about how you're going to perform, nailing that presentation, nailing that meeting with your senior leadership or whatever it is, and sure enough, you respond and you actually perform that way, right? So it's all about visualization, getting your body and your mind right in the mornings, and getting into the day with studying the goals that you have. Success for me would be physically did a great job with workouts, mentally was able to contribute to the team and contribute to the organizational results, and then obviously being able to contribute after all that's said and done with the family when they get home from school.
So, when you look back on your life, and there's been a lot of things that you've done and accomplished and overcome, what are you the proudest of? What puts a smile on your face at the end of the day?
I think it's being able to, lay down at the end of the night with the kids and they'll tell you how their days are going and how their day went, and being able to see a smile on their face and being able to do the things with them, start coaching with my son and daughter and enabling them to do the things that they want and watching them go through the same process. I think to me, that's exciting. And doing it with a partner in life, with my wife, Erin, I think that has just been really special for us. We've been together for such a long time, that it's been married for a long time, and it's been great to be able to build our relationship. What puts a smile on my face is watching my kids go through the same kind of learning as we went through as kids, and trying to build them and be a role model to them as much as I possibly can. So my kids, no doubt about it. My family, no doubt about it, take center stage for me. And that's my guiding light, making sure that I'm there for them and building them and leaving a legacy for them.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your colleagues, but ultimately you're the one that's living your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, I think if I had to boil it down to, it's just happy. Just a couple words come to mind would be happy, hardworking, focused, passionate, gritty. I think that when I look back, I can be really proud that everything that I've accomplished has been earned and not handed to me. I think that's a big part of it. If somebody looked at me and said, he earns everything. He earns everything that he gets because he works really hard, takes on a lot, but works really hard to accomplish what he wants to accomplish. But at the end of the day, I think people would look at me and say, a great person that really prioritizes correctly now after the last several years of going through the pandemic and understand what is important. And I think that's a really key piece of it. It's hardworking, passionate, and focused, and happy would be how I would say if people would look at me.
Jack, this has been wonderful, man. Thank you for opening up. You got an incredible story. Before we get out of here, I want to make sure that everyone out there that wants to know more about you and your life, anything revolving around your world, where do they go?
Absolutely. You can go to jackharnedy.com. We've got a great website there. You can learn about my background. You can learn about about me, and you can order my book Snap and Go, which is fantastic. We've had a great time with that process, and jackharnedy.com has been a website that we've been able to build, and looking forward to engaging with any of your audience.
Beautiful, Jack. Hey, thank you again, man. This has been great. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.